Yeah, it's spooky as hell tonight. I wonder what sort of things can happen.
Ding dong!
Hello there, young child dressed as a stormtrooper.
Trick or treat, Mr. Kevin.
Hi there, little James. I actually have a trick for you. We're going to be reviewing a movie that we did not want to review. This is a trailer in the rear view episode for what's wrong?
That sounds very riveting, but I'd rather just have a Reese's Fast Break. You got any of those?
No, I don't. I don't have any.
What?
Were we?
What is that? Was that the doorbell again, Kevin?
I wasn't expecting anything.
Neither was I.
Okay.
I'm back.
Who is this?
This is your roommate.
Oh,
James.
it's my roommate. That's right, Jenny.
Our bad movie correspondent is here to talk about the Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yep, we're here to talk about Autopsy of Jane Doe, and I'm the bad movie correspondent, but actually this movie was pretty good, so I'm a good movie correspondent?
Look, we'll get into it later. We'll touch on that. But just so everyone knows,
jumping too fast?
No, we'll get there. Everyone, just calm down. We all want to talk about the movie, but let's just explain to the viewers what this even is. Now, we reviewed this trailer for a movie called The Autopsy of Jane Doe. And we gave it a
never need to see.
Yeah. None of us wanted to see this piece of crap.
You guys are crazy.
But then we did something bad. And we goofed. We goofed on the Hitchhiker segment.
Yep.
And went over on time. And long story short, everyone, we had to watch this terrible movie.
Yep.
So now we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sorry. I did have a fast break, but I'm eating it. I'm eating it. I'm sorry.
You can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Turn the lights, grab a seat, pour yourselves some whiskey neat. It's time to judge the shit out of these feature releases by the movie trailers. We're trailer hits. This movie might totally suck, but the whiskey sure is going down fine. Yeah, we're trailer hits.
God damn, I can understand why you wanted that. That was a fantastic piece of candy.
You didn't actually have candy, you liar.
But I got whiskey.
I'm looking straight at you.
I know.
Cheers.
I know.
Happy
Cheers.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Cheers.
Happy Halloween. Clink,
Happy
clink,
Halloween.
Clink. I'm drinking water, sorry.
Yeah,
I offered
okay.
whiskey to her.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You're always welcome to drink on Trailer Hitch. You don't have to drink on Trailer
Damn right.
Hitch.
Thank you.
No peer pressure here.
Whiskey is my drink of choice, so I'm surprised I'm passing it up. But
Hey.
it is a school night / work night. Actually, I'm not. I'm not in school, so...
Oh, we're going to let you finish this.
Yeah,
Keep going, Jenny. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's a work night, and...
Do you have any...
You got it. Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
No, the synchronicity tonight is pretty insane. This is the 31st episode. It's a Halloween episode, and we're doing a trailer in the rear view for a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I love horror movies.
And, in retrospect, I'm kind of embarrassed we didn't plan this. This came out really well.
But it was perfect.
Yeah.
Don't need to dwell on it, man. We planned it perfectly even without planning it. So.
Yeah. So, should we talk a little bit about what we're
let's
doing?
talk about... So, we reviewed this trailer for the Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yes.
And... I don't know, do you remember why you weren't really into it?
I actually remember why I remember... Yeah. So, my rationale was actually pretty dumb. My rationale was, I feel like this would be so much better if it was secular. Like, if there weren't supernatural elements to this, oh man, I think that'd be really cool, but it's not, so never need to see. And in retrospect... Why am I yelling at a trailer for it not being what I want it to be? Just let it be its own
trailer for
it'd
being
be like
its
if
own thing.
It'd be like if I yelled at Jenny for drinking water instead of whiskey. That's dickish. So,
Well, and you're PC as fuck, so...
and a PC as fuck.
That's right.
And
Don't blame the woman for not drinking.
Right.
Is that where this is going? Do I need to apologize?
No,
What's happening?
no.
You covered your tracks well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're good.
Thank you.
You're good.
They'll never suspect I'm a piece of shit. So that was my rationale at the time, but really, I think at its core, it felt like it was steeped in a lot of horror genre tropes. It's like, there's like a close confined area because, we only have like $1.5 million for our budget.
Yeah.
Oops, spooky stuff starts happening. And like supernatural, I think, is really hard to do because it always feels like that ghost or whatever always has the upper hand. And like, especially in, I don't know about you, Jenny, but especially in horror movies where it's like something supernatural is attacking you and there's nothing you can do about it, I immediately disengage because it's like, all right, they're gonna die. Who gives a shit?
Well,
and then,
right. You always have to have that level of, can they beat this supernatural being, or they're gonna at least try. and you have that hope for that character.
Right.
But when you don't have it, of course, I would disengage as well because I'm like, well, they're just fucked. So
exactly.
why should I even watch them die?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so that was kind of the vibes I was getting off of the trailer. That's kind of why I backed away and gave it a never need to see. Do you remember why you just...
Not entirely. I think part of it was probably just because it just seemed like lame.
Hokey.
It seemed hokey to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, so it's a haunted corpse. And these two characters are going to be haunted by this corpse while they're doing the autopsy, and it's just they just didn't seem
but
like...
they'll be cutting her! What does it matter?
It didn't seem like there was much to it. But anyway, regardless, we didn't want to see it. Obviously, you weren't reviewing, Jenny, the trailer with us, but do you remember the trailer and what you might have thought of it?
I think I watched the trailer fairly recently, right before we watched the
Oh,
movie.
okay.
I don't know if I
She's
if I
doing
saw
more
it.
prep work than us. Yeah?
Well, I don't know if I saw it around the time it came out, but I remember it not being sure about it. But that's the cool thing about horror movies is that they might come off really lame, but they can... It's a genre that can really surprise you, or it won't. So, like, either you see a trailer and you're like, this is going to be awful, and it is, or it's really good. There's really no... I find there's no
it's
middle
really
ground.
like 85% of horror trailers are hokey.
Yeah, God, yeah.
Absolutely, but when I first saw Get Out's trailer, I was like, this movie looks dumb. And then it frickin' took off, and it was a crazy good movie. So, they can surprise you, and I think this movie surprised me a little bit. I don't know about you guys.
Cool. Well, before we get into what we thought of the movie, we should probably look at this trailer again and just kind of figure out, does it work?
This is the autopsy of an unidentified female, henceforth known as Jane Doe. This autopsy will be conducted in 4 stages, beginning with an external evaluation, followed by an internal evaluation, the heart and lungs.
One thing's for sure, you're not going anywhere.
Hey, Dad. I think we should get out of here.
Everybody has a secret.
So I'll start, in retrospect, that trailer still doesn't work for me at all.
It's just like hokey.
It does. After watching it again, it does feel very hokey and very, very much a never need to see for me as well.
Yeah, and I think a huge part of it is there's zero characterization throughout it. And it's a short trailer. It's like a minute and a half, but there's zero characterization. And not to spoil it too much, but that was probably the strongest aspect of the movie for me.
Yeah.
And so, like, that trailer basically takes away the thing that interested me the most about that movie.
Sure.
So what's left is just the inane kooky shit of just like
elements.
Oh, they cut into her and then she bleeds.
Yeah.
You know, like that sort of stuff. And especially ending on that note of everybody has a secret, but there's absolutely nothing in the fucking trailer that makes that line have any impact.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
It's like that the lady still has blood in her? Like, what's the fucking secret? Like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like there really aren't that much stakes involved.
Mm-hmm.
And watching this now, it's like, okay, no, now I have a clear idea of why this doesn't work for me. And I don't know about you guys, but honestly, I don't feel like this trailer does the movie justice.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, not really. I mean, like, I get it. It didn't, like, completely miss the mark on what the movie is. It just focuses too much on the less important parts of the movie. Yeah. Like you said, the characterization and stuff like that, that was the meat and potatoes of the movie. The supernatural elements were really brought in on a B level, you know?
Yeah, and I also think that, you know, obviously it's a horror movie trailer. Obviously they're going to be pushing the scares, but they definitely manufacture some of them because the bit in the trailer where Emil Hirsch is looking through the crack in the door, and then the corpse with the sewn eyes and mouth, like, jumps into frame and screams. That is not nearly as big of a jump scare in the movie. Like, it's more of a measured, it just sort of steps in front of him, and it's played more for the creep factor.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of what is just yanking my gourd with this thing, is it's also sort of misselling what type of horror it is.
Sure.
Yeah, you're right. It's misselling what type of horror it is, because we'll get into it more, but the fact that the trailer is showing a jump scare, but in the movie it wasn't a jump scare, is what I liked a lot about the movie, but I'll wait until we get into it a little bit more.
And I mean, like, part of it is the trailer implies, or just like, it's a trailer and it's short, so we don't really have a whole lot of explanation or build up or any at all of what these things are. What is that thing that jumped in front of the door?
Right.
Like, in the movie, before it jumps in front of the door, you already know what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But in the trailer, it just seems like a bunch of not connected things.
You get a no-face thing for a second, and
it's just like just like weird random supernatural stuff happening, whereas in the movie it's way less random. Anyway, so yes, I think we're all in agreement that trailer did not particularly sell the movie very well.
This is an instance in which the movie is better than the trailer. Let's get into it.
Let's dive in.
Yes.
What do you think? Jenny, why don't you start?
Kick us off.
Kick us off.
Well, I'll go back to the jump scare point that I wanted to make. The trailer focused a lot on the jump scares, as do a lot of horror movies. But the thing I really liked about this movie was that there was maybe one jump scare, and you knew it was coming, so it really wasn't a jump scare, but it relied heavily just on the music and the characters, and just like that way, kind of like what Conjuring did. It really relied on the acting and the music and just the creep factor. And that's what I really liked about it, and that it wasn't trying to be that horror movie that's trying to scare you cheaply. It's really putting in the time and effort to get your skin to crawl a little bit. It's
building tension.
Absolutely.
It's relying a lot on its atmosphere, for sure.
Which is what I respect most about horror movies.
Yeah, and like before we dive into like a deep analysis of the characters, I think just like something glossary that we can all agree on is it was awesome to see two characters in a confined horror movie act pretty rationally. Like, the stuff where, like, the radio goes crazy or whatever, the trailer definitely sells it as, like, Emil Hirsch, like, oh, boo. Like, it really milks it. In the film, he reacts as anyone would. If, like, your radio starts acting up.
Like, oh, that's weird.
Like, don't get me wrong, they still make some bad decisions because it's a horror movie. And they got to make some mistakes.
You can see where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
With those choices.
Yeah.
Right. And, like later on, I think the radio kicks in again, and then Emil Hirsch is like, we need to get out of here.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's not again... him just going, what? It's now he's freaked out. Now he's like, wait, this isn't right. And I think the dad had a moment as well. Where
it's when he torches the corpse.
Toward the end, he was just like, something happened, and instead of reacting, going, what? The dad was just like,
fuck this,
let's light her up. He just reacted like any normal person would to survive. And I really liked the realisticness of that.
Sure.
Yeah, it's interesting because the last time we did this with you, Jenny, it was with 50 Shades Darker. And that experience was like, we'll crack some jokes and, try and make it more fun because we know that we're not going to like it.
That's an instance of
we all got like an hour and a half in, and like 50 Shades Darker broke us. Like, it hit the point where we just kind of got quiet. And just, we lost hope.
Well, that's an instance in which the trailer was better than the movie.
Yeah, absolutely,
because it was shorter. About an hour and 28 minutes shorter.
Yeah, we appreciated that.
We liked it much better.
In this instance, it was like, okay, we'll like crack some jokes. Like, we're probably not going to like this. We'll make it lighter. And instead of breaking us, we ended up quieting down because it's like, no, this is actually okay. I want to see where this goes.
We started off making some jokes, being like, there's going to be, like, who's the cause of all these dead bodies? It's the rats. The rats, and, it's like, we'll just poking fun at it. But, like, there was a specific moment where Kevin tried to make another joke, and I was just like, shh, quiet, Kevin. I'm trying to listen. I'm trying to watch this movie.
It was a fucking bummer, because that was a barn burner of a joke.
Man. But
lost to time.
You're right, though. It's like, I kind of like found myself wanting to pay attention to this movie.
Absolutely.
Whereas 50 Shades, it was just like checking my watch every 2 seconds. It's just over yet.
That was an
I went out and bought a watch just to check it during it. That's how much I didn't like that fucking movie. Yeah.
There was like some good jokes to be had though with this one. I mean, for the most part, I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I was entertained watching it.
And I definitely think that its length plays a huge part in that. This is only like 80 minutes, maybe,
it's the
85.
perfect length.
It's the exact amount of time that premise needs to be.
It builds to a point, and then the pacing is really great throughout. So you have your build to the point, and then you have your... the second half of the movie of what the fuck is happening, them either trying to escape or get rid of the body or whatever. It was just paced really well, and I never felt like, okay, they can be done now, or the body can be, they can defeat it or whatever. It was paced very well, and then when it ended, I was like, oh, I could have kept watching, which is a good feeling.
A good sign.
You want to be left wanting a little bit.
I certainly the movie starts in a familiar way, not like the cold open. The quote-unquote cold open, the little bit you get before the title card, I thought was actually pretty cool.
We were definitely cracking jokes early during that.
We were cracking jokes during it, and then, like, we got the title card, and we were like, actually, that was pretty solid.
It was handled very well.
Yeah. Like, there's one cheesy line where it's like, it looks like we got a Jane Doe.
We got a Jane Doe
just all three of us, boom!
Yeah.
But then...
the title of the movie.
But then we we sort of settled down. It was like, I mean, other than that was actually a pretty solid open, though.
Yeah.
And then, certainly the beginning of the film kind of carries in the line of horror movies where it's kind of like, all right, here's like all the setup coming at you, and everyone kind of like, it's just going to be a normal fucking night at the morgue. It's like that sort of stuff. And then it's like, okay, well, I just know from watching horror movies, big bad thing is going to happen at like the 40-minute mark, and it's just going to be all hands on deck from then on out. But what was cool about this was this movie really did simmer to a boil. Weird shit started happening, and then weirder shit, and then weirder shit, and then before you knew it, oh, they're fucked. Like, they're too far gone.
What I loved about it the most, and you, like we already said, we don't get this from the trailer at all. I would say even more than the first half of the movie is really sort of like a detective story of just figuring out how this body died.
Yeah.
And Brian Cox lays the groundwork for that very early in the movie by saying, "Oh, you and your girlfriend are just alike, trying to determine motive and shit. All we're here to do is figure out cause of death. That's it. That's all, nothing more, nothing less."
Yeah.
So he sets the rules right away. All they need to do is figure out the cause of death of this Jane Doe. And just things keep derailing their normal process of being able to figure it out, to the point where you're like, when are these guys going to realize that this isn't normal, to the point where they need to leave? Because they kept commenting on how that's not normal, but they just keep going with the job.
Well, and to be fair, Brian Cox's character was like, oh, I've seen that before. It's rare, but I've seen it. Oh, I've seen that. Because when they cut into her and she bleeds, he's like, well, I've seen that before on fresh bodies. But then it was something else weird happened, and he's like, well, I see that on bodies that are 2 weeks old.
The eyes clouded.
So he knew something was weird, but he was just kind of, I think he was trying to be like, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. This is weird.
Because that was something that I pointed out while watching it. And Jenny, you were the one that said, I think she's just trying to keep his son calm. Or he's just trying to make sure Emil Hirsch
and himself
shit
too. It's like you're seeing these things that don't rationally make sense in your lifetime of experience, and you're just convincing yourself in your head, there has to be a rational explanation. I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep digging in this corpse until I find it. And the more he dug, the more crazier it got, and the more unreal.
And then it hit the point where you can't rationalize.
Yeah, and you see the look on his face when he does come to that moment, and it's not like a bad piece of dialogue or anything that lets the audience aware that the characters now get it. It was just facial recognition, and we all were watching, and we're like, okay, they're on our level now, and they're about to react.
And that's the nice thing about it is the subtlety within the characters. You don't need the exposition of them telling the audience, "Hey, we figured it out. Here's the line to tell you that."
Yeah.
We're smart enough. We're not dumb as an audience members. We know.
Some of us are dumb.
Some of us are. But
why are you all looking at me?
we can tell, like, when they figure it out. Again, we don't need the lines.
Yeah.
So it's really great. And going back to him trying to keep his son calm and himself, we've already established at that point, when things start being really fucking weird, that Emile Hirsch's character is kind of... He's very new to being in the morgue and doing this type of thing. So I think, he's just kind of helping his dad out. So I think at that point, we already know he can get kind of, nervous and really quickly about stuff.
I wouldn't say he's new to it, but I would agree that this isn't for him. He's unsettled.
Yeah,
by it.
it's like he's basically just working at the morgue because he wants to have some sort of connection with his dad. Right. And, like, the reasons why he wants to have that connection and to stay with him become apparent as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and like I was saying, Emile Hirsch's character kind of seems like he gets nervous and unsettled very quickly, and he can maybe get a little overreactive. You can see it in his face as a character. He's very nervous, and he's like, "Oh," and his dad is just like, "Oh, I've seen it before. It's fine. Don't worry."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of that subtlety that you see that really speaks a lot more words than what you
totally. And we have two great actors.
Yeah. And they were both great in it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And definitely not a type. Not genre that those actors are usually seen in.
Not commonly.
Yeah,
No.
so that right off the bat, that should tell you, like, oh, this isn't just like every schlocky, horror film that comes out. It's probably different. It's probably brings something new to the table. And I think it did, for the most part.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know what? They're great actors, but really, the Oscar should go to that lady sitting on the slab naked the whole time. Oscar winner right there. Looking dead.
I believe she was dead.
Yeah,
Yes.
Are we 100% sure it wasn't a dead body? Because I'm not totally convinced yet.
Well, I'm thinking the close-ups on her face were real, but then they probably brought in a dead body when they actually cut it open. That's my guess.
Sure.
That's what they do,
Yeah.
right? They don't use, like, a prosthetic thing or anything like that.
I don't know.
Let's
leave it.
There's going to be some family in Poughkeepsie that's like, wait, that's Angela.
Oh no!
we knew she was donating her body to science, but not the arts. Not the arts.
What are they doing to her? That's hilarious.
Oh man.
Should we? Did you guys want to talk about like the end of the movie, like the spoilery
Fucking
stuff?
yeah.
Let's spoil the hell out of this.
It's
okay,
a witch.
So, yeah. Spoiler alert! We're about to spoil it. We gave them we gave them enough leeway. Okay, yeah. So Jane Doe.
The movie's also been out for I feel like long enough.
It's been a while. Yeah. So Jane Doe is a witch from Salem, like the Salem witch trial witches.
Yeah. The movie takes place in Virginia, so it makes somewhat sense that a witch from Salem shows up.
And they really take their time getting to that conclusion. They really make you feel like it's a mystery that they are solving. Yeah, and they solve it. It's like it doesn't just stumble in their laps, and all of a sudden they're like, "Aha! It's this." They figure it out.
Yeah.
So it feels earned. We had a bet at the beginning of the movie of who was going to make it out of this movie. Brian Cox alive, Emile Hirsch alive, or none of them alive.
I posited the bet. Both of you immediately were like, neither of them are going to make it. And I'm like, that's how I felt too, because it's like, it's a small, little-known independent horror movie. And it's directed by some fucking Norwegian. So, like, of course it's going to go for the dour ending. But, like, you have to keep the bet interesting. And I was close.
You were close until, like, the last 5 minutes.
That's what's so fascinating about it. You wanted to go with us and just say, oh, no, they're both going to die.
But then I was like, okay, maybe Emile Hirsch will make it.
Yeah. And then as the movie progressed, we all were like biting our nails because we're like, oh, Kevin's gonna accidentally be right on this. It looks like Emile Hirsch is gonna make it out of this one.
No.
Like his dad makes like the self-sacrifice to take on the injuries of the witch. So that stuff
which are numerous.
That stuff was pretty unclear as to like how he decided that is what will stop this. Is just pleading to the corpse, hey, just give me all the pain, and then
if we're going through the 5 stages of grief, I think he had hit the bargaining phase, and we just didn't see him hit acceptance. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like bargain. Okay, it worked. Everything will be fine.
Well, he died before acceptance.
Well, I guess. Yeah, exactly. That's why we stopped there. It's a real shame. I feel like Brian Cox would have knocked acceptance right out of the park.
Yeah, he really would have.
But Brian Cox says, "Oh, yeah, witch, homie, don't take my son. Take me instead." And then Brian Cox dies, and then you're kind of led to think, like...
That's it.
All right.
We did it.
All the lights come on, elevator
witches
works.
are usually pretty honest. Like, like that witch is going to keep her word.
Especially the dead ones.
Especially the dead ones. Yeah, what do they have to gain by lying? And apparently it's a lot, because he's about to exit. There's a cellar door that they use to get out of their morgue. It's a morgue that's run out of a house, just out of the basement. Yeah. So, you know,
with a cellar door entrance and elevator.
My parents had a bar in their basement, and Brian Cox just has a morgue. You know, we all have our thing.
Mortuary, right? Yeah.
To be fair, we're from Wisconsin, so anything but a bar would be kind of weird.
A bar in every basement and a chicken in every pot.
I don't know, man. I feel like...
And a rat in every morgue.
If I, regardless of it being in LA, regardless of it being in Wisconsin or whatever, if I go downstairs and there's a morgue, I'm not going to be like, where's the beer? Like, that's not going to be the first thing on my mind. I'm going to be like, why the fuck do you got dead bodies down here?
Just crack open a dead body, fill it with ice, put some beers in there.
I might be like, what?
Cooler.
I might be like, there's a bunch of dead bodies around. I need a drink.
Yeah.
Where's your bar?
Oh, there you go.
Bar down here.
There you go.
Anyway, so Brian Cox sacrifices himself.
Yeah, sacrifices himself.
Dies.
Gets,
cellar door.
Cellar door. Yeah, the cellar door has been locked the entire movie.
A tree fell on it.
A tree fell on it. And, like, bear in mind, like, the horror tropey shit that we were calling out in the trailer, like, there are still those elements at play. It's like, yeah, their cell phones don't get any reception.
Right.
I did like how they handled the one landline. I thought that was really cool. But...
Okay,
you know, but like, you know, the cell phone's not having service. The one exit that we know for a fact works, like a tree falls on it because there's a storm outside.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some contrivances at play. But at the end of the movie, after Brian Cox bites the dust, Emile Hirsch hears like people sawing at this tree up over by the cellar door, and like,
just like, hold on, we're coming for you.
We're coming for you. We're coming for you. And Emile Hirsch. It's like happy as a clam. Although we were sitting there being like, "Yo, there's 2 dead bodies."
He's going to jail.
He's in prison forever.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're gonna think I was like, oh, they're gonna open it, find the dead bodies. He's gonna go to jail. It's not gonna be a happy ending at all.
That's the morbid ending I thought it was gonna be.
Same, but then like this disembodied voice tells him like, "Oh no, keep pushing." And then, like, all of a sudden, that voice shifts, and it becomes the creepy song that you hear in the trailer and throughout the film.
Yeah.
Right.
And
which
then,
was very creepy. That gets my skin crawling.
Dead Brian Cox shows up, and Emile Hirsch is like, whoop, 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 and then falls off.
He just, like, falls, right?
Yeah, he just falls.
Yeah.
Wrecks the shit.
So it's like Brian Cox doesn't kill him.
Yeah. And then the movie, it's semi-book-endish, where now the cops that were investigating this quadruple homicide before they brought the corpse to the morgue are now at the morgue investigating this triple homicide.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's really weird that this keeps happening. Maybe get that body out of the county.
And like, again, another perfectly rational police officer making a decision to send this cop to the next county over, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's their problem.
Yeah, the one police officer was like, oh, we'll just send him over to, you know, so-and-so. He's like, no, I think we're going to go a little bit further out of our jurisdiction than that. Brilliant. Like, it's like, people making smart decisions. They don't know something supernatural is happening.
But at the same time, it's like, you know what, something's fucking weird.
I'm a little superstitious. Let's just send it over.
There's a weird feeling. I have a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Just gonna go with it.
Yeah. Also, we didn't mention, Emile Hirsch's character has a girlfriend.
I was gonna bring
the
that
girlfriend leaves. comes back
and then gets hit
Fucking
and then gets axed in the chest.
Yes,
by
yes.
Brian Cox, who thinks she is one of the reanimated corpses.
Yeah,
but it's not. So that was the first part of the movie where I was a little disappointed because, first of all, Jenny called it before it even happened, and then ruined the surprise for me.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
Well, he
she just like word vomited it out. It's like, it's the girlfriend, she's back. And then even before like Brian Cox swings the axe, and I'm like, oh. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I guess
she's
I
right.
guess it's going to be the girlfriend.
Jenny knows it.
And it was.
I'm
it was
sorry.
the girlfriend.
I love horror movies, and it's your typical puzzle piece in the horror movies that.
Well, yeah, because they explicitly say like she's going to come back.
Yeah.
And when you meet her, she has this very nice connection with Emile Hirsch, and you're like, okay, well, she's just there to die because otherwise, why would
Yeah, there really isn't that much characterization.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, there's like 5 characters in the whole movie, so like if someone's gonna die,
you need that body count up.
Yeah.
6 if you
and
count
not just
the cat.
Oh,
the cat.
Yeah, the
okay,
cat.
we'll get to the cat.
But yeah, so like the corpse is coming down the hallway. You see the lights flickering. It's this corpse with no face. And Brian Cox has this axe, and he's waiting, and then it's dark, and the corpse is there, and he swings it, and you hear and I'm like, well, corpses aren't supposed to make a sound. They're dead, and it's clearly like a.
No, you called it way before.
And then opens the door. It's the cat. How sad would it have been?
Not the cat, but yes, it was the girlfriend, and he hit her, and then I was like, oh god, that's the girlfriend, and then you get Emile Hirsch's character being upset, which is what you need. You need that drive.
At the time, I thought it was kind of cheap, though.
It
I don't know why. Was it?
No, I definitely feel like it was.
Okay, we didn't talk about it.
As soon as
I was like,
as soon as the girlfriend gets myself. As soon as the girlfriend gets axed, I was like, oh shit, they're starting to play with the perception of reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is this actually happening?
Yeah.
Like, again, Brian Cox's character has been pretty rational. He's been making, by and large, like, solid decisions.
Yeah.
And for him to all of a sudden either see a corpse or, like, think it's a corpse or whatever, it just didn't really seem to fit his MO. And so I was like, oh, like, what does this mean? Like, are they just going nuts? What's happening? And it was just sort of this misdirect that, admittedly, I would say felt a bit cheap.
Well, my question is how did she get down to the morgue if everything was
especially if they're like fucking trapped.
They're trapped down there. There's only 2 ways in and out. It's the elevator, which doesn't
and they're
work.
in the elevator.
They're in the elevator, or it's the cellar door, which has a tree on
giant
top of
tree.
it.
Yeah.
So,
but I guess the implication we can take from it, if the witch was keeping him down at the end, maybe there wasn't a tree. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it was just
that's
the witch
a
fucking
very interesting point.
Yeah, and and if it's up to the witch to do, to keep him down there, it's up to her to let somebody in too. So I mean, it's very possible that the girlfriend came up, nothing was wrong, everything seemed fine.
Yeah.
And then she went down into a dark morgue and didn't say, "Hey guys, is anyone here?" She just walked around silently. Oh, it's fine, whatever. Her fault.
I mean, I feel like I would give a good hello or two.
Yeah,
but you know what? That's me.
Yeah,
That's me.
maybe don't walk like the dead.
Yeah, right? This witch is just seeing this woman walk up. She's pretty quiet. All right, let her in. Let's see what happens.
Come this way, my child.
Yeah.
But no, and also throughout the movie, you see Emile Hirsch wants to go see his girlfriend. He's got a date that he keeps bailing on because he wants to help his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that connection with his dad is established pretty early on. Very subtle, and I like that. But then you can also tell shit's happening. He's feeling uneasy. He wants to leave. And he's getting, you can tell he's one creepy thing away from being like, I'm gonna go find my girlfriend. So the fact that she died kind of keeps him there too. So it's like, well, what other than trying to save his own life, it's like, why does he doesn't have an excuse to leave. So I think her death was inevitable in just horror movie puzzles.
Yeah, they clearly set it up that way. Like Jenny said, if you can see the signs early on, you can predict that is going to happen. But if you don't, then when it does happen, it just feels, I don't know.
Well, and again, I think it doesn't work on the basis that it's, why would Brian Cox swing if he didn't think it was a corpse? And, clearly, you get a shot where he looks out, corpse a-shuffling, and then he swings, and then all of a sudden, so it's like, does that mean she can't see the corpse? Like, it does. Like, there are just a lot of holes.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that him killing her is kind of plays into the ultimate ending of the movie of him dying. He's a wholesome guy. He lost his wife. He lost his cat, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now he accidentally killed this young girl who had nothing to do with anything. At the end of the movie, he's like, I am guilty. I feel awful. Like he just has nothing left to live for. And the only thing that he wants to live is his son. So it really can play into him being like, just take me, kill me, and let my son go. Let him live a good life. I'm already a bad person. I'm already tainted for killing this girl. I lost my wife. I'm at the end of my my life essentially.
Sure, I didn't necessarily.
You could play it that way.
It could have been played that way. I didn't necessarily read that with the movie.
Sure.
But I do agree with the sentiment of him giving himself up is exactly. It's like his son is the only thing that he has.
Yeah.
And so he's going to do whatever he can to.
I think from a character standpoint, it would have been a better ending. After you just described all that, I think it would have been a better ending if he self-sacrifices himself for his son. And then, like we talked about, the cops bust in and go, there's 2 people murdered here. You're the only one here. You're locked in. You're going to jail. That would have been the morbid ending that I would have really liked. They can't do that because it's like, what do you do with the body then? Emil Hirsch would be saying all these... He would be explaining all these things, and they would just go, you're crazy. And then...
I mean, granted.
No,
sure,
you know what?
The other
I take
morgue,
it back. It could still work.
The other morgue that they sent him to mysteriously burned down.
Yeah.
And the corpse was intact. Admittedly, that's weird. But again, you're Emil Hirsch. Something's off about you.
Right.
I don't know. From a character standpoint, like we said, the movie was really driven by good character development. And, just characters
and
in general. That would have been a better character ending, I think.
I think so, too. Especially if that self-sacrifice that Brian Cox did really amounts to nothing.
Yeah, but it did amount to nothing in this movie.
Yeah.
But this one felt lame, more unsatisfying.
Yeah,
Emil Hirsch
because
just
it does
died,
raise the question of is this just gonna keep fucking happening?
Yeah.
At what point? There are only so many morgues, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
It would have been more upsetting if Emil Hirsch got out alive. But
only
then
to be pinned
for these 2 murders and to be called insane for saying a corpse did it all.
Yeah,
right.
Which is almost as if he's being persecuted like a witch.
Nope, I will not acknowledge that.
No. But see, I'm trying to. Fine.
Well, and I'm gonna go back to a point. I think one of you guys said that Brian Cox is like a rational man. Who said that? Was that you, Kevin?
Yeah.
That him seeing a corpse walking toward him in he's irrational. He wouldn't just swing and hit. There was a line earlier in the movie when the girlfriend pulled out the corpse and they had the bell on his toe. And he's like, call me superstitious, but back in the day, if they weren't sure the body was dead, and they heard the bell ring.
Mm-hmm.
So you already know from that one line that he does have a little bit of a superstitiousness to him. So him seeing this dead body walking isn't exactly out of the realm of him.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not questioning him taking the swing. I just don't believe that he would mistake a live woman walking down the hallway.
I mean, it was dark
corpse.
though.
Yeah,
It wasn't dark enough for us to know that the corpse was walking towards them.
Yeah.
They all saw that.
Yeah.
It wasn't too dark to see who was walking. It was the dead corpse.
Right.
Yeah. It's
and
pretty
the corpse disappeared and the girl appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And she could, again, very easily. Hello?
Yeah.
That's all we needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to get into the stuff with Brian Cox's wife that we've been sort of mentioning. Also, I like how we keep saying, the cat. We'll get it. We'll bring that up later.
And we keep saying
I
that
want to
too.
make sure we never bring up the
Yeah,
fucking
I mean, by talking about the wife, we're going to talk about the cat.
So, I mean, the wife that we never see, fucking patriarchy, am I right? Anyway, she is not in the film because her character had committed suicide.
Right.
And
Never said outright,
yeah,
which is great.
Very
handled well. In the
Brian
movie.
Cox just sort of internalizes it, and Emile Hirsch, you realize a part of what's keeping him at this morgue, because the beginning of the film makes it a pretty big point for other characters to kind of be like, don't really seem all into this whole cutting up corpses thing, and the movie shows it too, because like anytime they crack open a rib cage or something, Emile Hirsch always looks away. Like, he's clearly not... This is not for him.
Right, yeah.
But, like, a part of what's keeping him around is, one, I think, because he does love his dad.
Mm-hmm.
But, two, it's just to hear his dad acknowledge the fact that his mom committed suicide.
Right, yeah.
And... you get that moment of catharsis in the elevator at one point. And again, it isn't explicitly said, but it's pretty good. And then, of course, there's the stuff with the cap, but we'll bring that up later. And I did. I thought that it really helped tie everything together. Because, like, you kind of pick apart and make fun of, like the stupid horror movie things of, oh, why is this guy in the morgue if he doesn't want to blurb? And then it's like, wait, maybe there is a reason. And then there is one. And it's like a pretty solid reason.
Yeah.
And my reaction to the movie is basically just a muted reaction to how I did the trailer. Where it's like, yeah, okay, like the tropes were still definitely there. And I definitely don't think that all of it works. But I think that there is there's a solid movie there.
Yeah,
like
there's entertainment
so
there.
many. Yeah, there's so many worse beer and pizza movies out there.
Yeah,
and this totally qualifies as a beer and pizza movie.
Sure. Yeah, like we ended it and we're like, yeah,
yeah,
all right,
yeah, all right.
So, what do you guys think for rating wise? What's our usual?
Shouldn't have seen it. Should have waited. Glad I saw it.
We'll see it again.
Should see it again.
Should see it again. Right. Okay. Good. Kevin, go. What do you think for this one?
Me? Honestly, it should have waited, but that's what I did, so I feel completely satisfied.
So you're glad you waited.
Yeah, glad I waited. Sure, we'll call it that.
I'm also glad I waited. Like it was good. I never would have paid to see it like in the movie theater.
We did pay for it, though.
Not in the movie theater. We're talking about movie.
You own a digital copy of the Autopsy of Jane Doe.
We talk
Thanks,
when we give these reviews.
Right?
We're always talking about movie theater runs.
Yeah.
Movie theater runs.
Yeah.
So I never would have gone out of my way to see this at a movie theater.
Legit.
But we saw it, and I thought it was fun. So should have waited. Mm-hmm. Glad I waited. Yes. Yeah. Jenny?
I'm glad I saw it, and I would see it again. But that's just because we own it, and we own it, and also I'm
the access is there.
Yeah, and I'm a huge horror movie buff. So if a friend was curious about it, I would sit and watch it with them again. So cool. I would watch it again. And
sure.
I'm glad
I saw
it. So.
Well, very cool.
Well, that went well, I thought.
That did. That was
spooky.
That was definitely not as bad of a punishment as we were making it out to be.
No.
We were like, both of us saw the poll and we're like, fucking the Autopsy of Jane Doe? Really?
That was I voted for that one on your Twitter. So
yeah.
Out of all the options, that was the one I would have preferred.
It was definitely the least painful, I think, of the four. So, no, we are happy. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on this intrepid trip down trailers, but looking at them in the rear view.
In the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
Trailers in the rear view. That's why we called it that. That's why we call the segment that.
Let's spell it out. Listen, there's a cat, but we'll bring it up later.
We'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it, guys.
So, thank you guys very much. Jenny, thank you for joining us again.
You're welcome.
You're killing it.
We'll have to change your title from Bad Movie Correspondent to...
Bad Movie, but could be a good movie too correspondent?
Yeah, or just like Never Should Have Seen It Correspondent.
Or
no,
never need to see correspondent.
Or
how about just correspondent? Now let's stick with Bad Movie Correspondent.
I feel like it's just flows better.
It has a good ring to it. It might not always.
Wait, hang on, Jenny. What would you like to be named?
I don't mind Bad Movie Correspondent. I mean, because initially you guys are watching these movies because you think they are bad. So I like to be involved in either making fun of it or actually really enjoying it
and being proven elsewise.
Yeah.
Well, good. Bad Movie Correspondent Jenny. Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, James.
Thanks, Kevin.
And thank you, listener. Be sure to like and subscribe on iTunes.
Or leave a review.
If
you want.
Do whatever you want to do.
A little comment or something.
Right.
Feel free to hit us up on Facebook. Feel free to hit us up on Twitter @TrailerHitchPod. Feel free to shoot us an email at trailerhitchmailbox@gmail.com. Sorry, it's just, I wanted to talk about the cat, but we'll bring it up.
But most of all, just feel free, guys.
Yeah.
Feel free.
It's
general.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Fucking cut loose.
And also, always check your rearview mirror for a ghost.
That's
Ooh,
apt. It's apt.
Very relevant to what we talked about
I haven't
today.
been doing that. There may have been ghosts behind me on
That's
my way
true,
over here.
yeah. Well, good luck driving home.
Oh, fuck, that's right. I have to leave.
We do have a guest room you
Bye,
can stay in,
Kevin.
Kevin. Yeah. See you never.
You can't mount holy sails without a sailor stitch, and you can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Yeah, and specifically, the thing about this cat is...
No, I think we'll talk about the cat later. We'll talk about the cat later.
Can we
fine.
actually talk about the rat first?
The rat?
Yeah,
I
the
totally
cat was
forgot
carrying
about
the
the rat.
Oh, dude, the rat? Let's get into this right
Holy
fucking now.
shit.
Okay, so...
No, you know what? No, actually, let's get back to the more character stuff.
yeah,
we'll talk about the
definitely.
rat later, too.
Yeah, no.
Rat, cat, later.